All right, fight fans. Once again, the legend, the Hall of Famer, Mr. Roy Jones Jr. is co-hosting with us today. Roy, thanks for being here.
No problem.
Listen, we recently talked about May 2nd and May 3rd. This is probably one of the biggest boxing weekends ever because we got something May 2nd, May 3rd, and May 4th, right? So let's touch on the face of boxing, Canelo Alvarez, fighting William Scull, who's a Cuban credible opponent, even though people aren't highly excited about it because they're thinking ahead of obviously Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez. But Roy, let's get into Canelo's mindset. I've seen these guys side by side, William Scull and Canelo. He's so much bigger than Canelo. He can't look past this guy.
No, you can't look past, man. Here's what people have to remember. A lot of times, the bigger fights that we wanted to see got upset by lesser opponents, unknown opponents. You understand me? So we didn't expect that Fury would beat Wilder, so Wilder couldn't fight Joshua. We didn't expect that Usyk would beat Fury, so Fury couldn't fight Joshua. We didn't expect that Usyk would beat Joshua, so that Joshua couldn't fight Fury. Certain things we just don't expect. You understand me? We don't expect this guy to beat Canelo, but if we dig deep and look in the books, who are the only two people to give Canelo really a hard time? Floyd Mayweather, who was a supreme boxer, Erislandy Lara, who was a Cuban extreme boxer. Now, the Cubans' amateur pedigree is not what it used to be because all the other countries have risen too. But they still are mindful boxers, usually have very good feet, both which cause Canelo the most problems in his career. So if this guy has any kind of IQ at boxing, and if he has any kind of feet, this can be a rough fight for Canelo. If he doesn't, then Canelo should walk through him.
And I think that Canelo probably doesn't like to hear stuff like that, but nowadays, I think it's to his benefit that people still think that way because basically he fought Billy Joe Saunders and Caleb Plant, they're not like Cuban fighters, but they're very skillful fighters and they have feet. And most of their game is the way they move their feet, especially Caleb Plant. And he was able to stop them both. So I think that Canelo definitely is a different fighter than 2013, 2014, when he fought Lara. And Scull, we don't really know how good he is because he hasn't fought anybody yet. Now he has the opportunity to prove that he's great, or he has the opportunity to just be one of those names on Canelo's list.
Yeah, and one other thing I want to point out is people sometimes overlook this, though. The comfort level that Canelo has in these big events, because he's been there so many times, is what obviously William Scull hasn't experienced yet. And I think that plays a part. Like sometimes you can be skilled, but when those bright lights hit you at that level with all the promotion, all the press leading up to the fight, I think that could affect you in a negative way. But you're right, Barak, to your point, we don't know. Maybe he can live up to that hype and deal with all of the big lights. This time, Canelo is going to be in uncharted territory because he's fighting in Saudi Arabia, a place that he's never fought before, but he's used to the attention. Now, Roy, give me the pros and cons about fighting for Canelo the first time in Saudi Arabia, and also overall in fighting in Saudi Arabia opposed to the U.S., like all fighters.
Well, Canelo got to be on his A game because two things, like we said about the Erislandy Lara thing, and the fact that he's fighting for the first time, I think, in front of Turk. You understand me? So he got to look good and try to prove that Turk, I know you got all these other fighters, but I am the face of boxing. This is why I'm on top of the world, because I am the face. He has to go prove that to Turk right now, or he gonna look crazy. So if he don't go prove that to Turk, that's more reason. Turk is a bigger issue than Scull is, because he wants to be impressive to Turk right now, not necessarily to Scull. Scull just in the way, or Scull is the tool he's going to use to make Turk believe that he's going to smash Terrence Crawford. So,
it's almost like an audition.
It's like an audition, exactly.
What's up, people? It's your boy, Ak.
You already know me. I'm Barak the Boxing Bully. But something you might not know is that I teamed up with DraftKings so that you too can join in on the fun.
We got some amazing matchups. Anyway, fighting Ramon Cardenas, looking for his 30th victory, Barak, in his 27th knockout. Is Cardenas even close to good enough to upsetting Inoue?
Damn, man, why'd you ask that? No, nobody is.
I agree with you. It doesn't happen. I think Inoue scores another huge knockout victory, which is why I feel he needs to come back down for the real challenge.
Forget about that. Like you said, it's one of the greatest weekends of all time. It's championship fights every single day of the weekend. That's incredible. My God. I can't believe how good boxing is right now.
Ryan Garcia versus Rolly. Devin Haney versus Ramirez. Canelo Alvarez in Saudi Arabia. And then closing the show. Anyway, Barak, this insane weekend.
Crazy.
I can't wait for it. Check out all DraftKings has to offer. But don't forget, use my promo code ATS Fights.
There's so many different ways to play. DraftKings has something for every sports fan. Stay in on the action and check out all that DraftKings has to offer, either on the app or on the website.
You're moving too slow. You're taking too long. Hurry up. Download the DraftKings app right now.
And new customers, use my promo code ATS Fights to level up your fight night experience. Okay, so Roy, including you, Mr. You Must Have Forgot, where does Canelo fit in all-time greats at super middleweight division?
He's up there pretty high at super middleweight division. It's a lot of guys though that you have to consider before you put him over these guys. Now, don't get it wrong, because of how the Latinos, how the Mexicans support boxing, he's one of the biggest earners. So if you looked at the earning, he would go straight to the top of the list. But I don't judge boxing by the earning. I judge boxing by the actual facts of what you do. You went up, but you couldn't get no higher than light heavy because Bivol beat you at light heavy and you had to come back down. So we can put you up there pretty high because of what you earned and what you've done. You've done some beautiful things in boxing. He's made a lot of room since turning pro at 15 years old. And to still be here at this age right now says a lot too. So he's been there on the top or at the top of the game for a long time. But you got people like, you got to always look at it from the other side. And I know people, no, they're going to hate on everybody. They hate on me. They hate on Jesus Christ. They hate on Jesus Christ. They're going to hate on everybody. So you got other people who are going to say, yeah, he was good, but he wouldn't fight David Benavidez. And he didn't beat Floyd Mayweather. And he didn't convincingly beat Erislandy De Lara. So it's like those things are going to hold you down a few notches from being at the top of the heap at that 168-pound division. Now, where I put him at, I have to consider who all I put on there first before I determine where I put him at. He's definitely not at the top of it, but he could be in the, say, top 5, maybe even top 10.
You know, I want to bring up Turkey because you mentioned him and His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh. I love what he's doing with the sport in terms of, you know how you mentioned earlier, Roy, that sometimes, we can't look that far ahead. He is so focused on really letting the fight fans know this is what's going to happen for the entire year. We have a real schedule here. So yes, the money is there. So if Canelo beats Scull, we will get Terrence Crawford versus Canelo Alvarez in September. And nobody can complain about, is the money going to be right? Or are we going to be able to make it work? He's telling you already. It's going to happen. It's going to be a big, big bag of money. So I love what Turkey is doing. Now, let's say he does get past Scull. And the audition is phenomenal, Roy. And over there in Saudi Arabia, Canelo proves his worth. Like, yes, you see, this is why I'm the face of boxing. Now let's move on to the next thing. We all know Terrence is not taking a fight in between. He's like, I'm going to move up to 168. I'm going to take my time with that. Now, are we going to should we expect an upset, or are we going to see what most people are expecting in that fight if it does happen?
Well, we're not going to see what most people are expecting. That's for sure. I can guarantee that, because most people are looking at the weights and saying, they're too far apart. Canelo's too big. No, we're not going to see what y'all think we're going to see. We're going to see a chess match, and a chess match that, if it's played correctly by each side, it could be very interesting. If it's played wrong by either side, the other side will dominate. That's how good this fight is.
Do you think people, let's say if Canelo wins, do you think people give Canelo credit because Bud is smaller? And if Bud wins, should he just retire and go on the sunset?
Bud definitely should retire if he wins. Canelo, no, you have unfinished business, bro. You can try to hide, you can try to run, but that monster thing, it ain't going nowhere. I'm sorry. Even if you retire, the rest of your career, the monster thing is not going anywhere because the monster was searching for you. He beat everything y'all sent at him in the process of trying to get to you. I don't care who you beat, the monster thing is going to always follow him.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, there was a time where Benavidez was saying, you know what, I got to earn that Canelo shot. He earned that shot a long time ago. He is the man. But don't you feel, Roy, I mean, you've seen Canelo, and you fought in that division, and you fought in 175, a light heavyweight division. Don't you see how small Canelo is? Isn't that kind of like greatness that he moved up to 168? He's barely 5'8". barely 5'8". You know, he's and he don't have big shoulders like Demetrius Andrade and all these dudes. He's a little guy.
Yeah. Let's go back to the little guy for real. Roberto Duran started at 130, 135 and competed with the dudes that started at 147 and 160. You understand me? And held his own against most of them most of the time. So don't give me all that. I don't do the excuses. I do the real facts. If you're in the weight class, if you're in the weight class, like you said, if you're going to bring your ass, bring the class.
That's a fact. If you're in the weight
bring
class.
Your ass, don't come in this class. All right? If you're coming in my class, bring your ass. I don't want to hear no excuses about it.
No, but listen, Roy, I get that and I respect that. That's true. But I do agree with Barak. He's very small for that division. I don't think he belongs in it. But yes, to your point, he's fighting in it. He's fighting in it.
No, but at the end of the day, once you get in it, that's it.
Wait. We saying small. How is he small for the division?
No, meaning
because all of those guys are
he's a pit bull. He's a pit bull. That's who he is. If he ever learned how to be a pit bull, he'd be at the top of the list right now because that's how he's built. That's what his genetics say.
Yeah, but guys like David Benavidez, they're so big, they drain themselves to make that weight and then blow up so much on fight night. And I get it. If you're fighting that weight, you're fighting that weight. But let me say one thing, right? Canelo Alvarez came up to 168 and became undisputed. That means at that time, right, he cleaned out the division. He beat Callum Smith. He beat Billy Joe Saunders. He beat Caleb Plant. He became undisputed. So isn't that enough? I'm a small guy. I came up to this weight. I won a division. I don't have to fight every single person at 168 because the fans want me to do it. I proved enough to do it. I proved enough in my career.
Like when you went up to heavyweight and you fought Ruiz and people was like, yo, why he ain't fight Tyson? Why he ain't fight Holyfield?
Hey, I tried to fight Tyson. I tried to fight Holyfield before I fought Ruiz. So don't see people, this is what people don't know. I tried to fight Holyfield before I fought Ruiz. I tried to fight Tyson right after Tyson said he was through with boxing at the time. So I was trying to fight who the people wanted me to fight at those times. Don't get that twisted.
All right, you're Roy Jones, though.
Man, boy, I've been defending you for all these years, Roy.
Now we're starting to get somewhere. You understand? Now you said something very impressive that you, Roy Jones. You're right. So what I'm saying is, if you're at 168 and you realize you can't go no further, you go back to 168, sit at 168. But if a guy can make 168, then you need to go back down to 160 if he's too big for you. Because you can't sit in that weight class, and because this guy's bigger than you, but he can make the weight. Because if he can make the weight, he considered a 168 pounder too. I don't care if he come from 230. If he can make the weight and perform, he's a 168 pounder too.
But don't you think Canelo has done enough where he doesn't have to prove to the fans, in order for my career to be cemented, I gotta fight this big guy Benavidez?
No, nobody has to do anything, but if you claim to be pound for pound the best, then they're gonna want to see you fight who they think gonna be the toughest opposition. You understand me? I didn't have to fight Antonio Tarver. He just was the toughest opposition at the time.
That's
true. You understand me? When I came from heavyweight, I lost 25 pounds of muscle, but because I knew what I went as a dog with my heart and beat him anyway, because I had said I would. That's who I was. If they brought anything on my plate that looked like it might beat me, I got to go see what it tastes like. You understand me? And that's who I was. So I have a harder time dealing with this thing with Benavidez than y'all do. Because
No,
let me finish.
Okay.
Because I boxed at a time where I fought for not what's money on the table, but who the baddest dude in the weight class. You understand me? If I came to your weight class, I was ready to prove that I was either the baddest dude in your weight class or the second baddest dude in your weight class. Meaning that as a heavyweight, I didn't say I was going to be the baddest heavyweight. I just want to be heavyweight champ. That's why I got my behind out from up there when I got done. Because I'm not trying to beat all these big guys and be messed up in the head from taking these shots from these guys that are way bigger than me. I knew that was not the place for me to stay. Tyson, I would have fought. Anybody else? No, I got to go. I'm not a real legitimate heavyweight. You understand what I'm saying? So if I'm going to campaign at that weight and that person can make that weight, then I deserve that person, if he rises and beats everybody else, then he's the most formidable opponent.
Hold on 1 second, Ak. I just want to clarify. I believe Ak is coming from the perspective where Canelo doesn't have to fight Benavidez. I'm not. I'm saying, yes, if you're going to be in 168 and fight all of these fights at 168, then you got to fight Benavidez. But I just want the world to know that this guy is very, very small, and this is greatness. This is not a regular guy who walks around at 200 and then goes down to 168. This is a small human being that went up to 168, and he's just great for fighting those guys. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, here's what's wrong with boxing. Oh, he's too big for Terrence Crawford. Oh, but he's too small for the super middleweights. What we gonna say? What the hell is it?
He's not too big for Terrence Crawford. He's small. He's small.
We never said he's too big for Terrence. In
But
fact,
that's what people
Terrence
say, though. You know,
no, you're right.
Most of the world do say that
Yeah,
because
that's what
they
I'm
don't
saying.
know. They
That's what
only
I'm
look
saying.
at the weight. They don't
Yeah.
know. We know Canelo personally. We know Bud personally. They're both small guys.
And Bud has longer arms. But anyway, look, we'll see if Canelo Alvarez gets past William Scull. I mean, that's expected, but you never know in boxing if they're other than expected. And hopefully we'll get that showdown between Terrence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez in September.
And I applaud both of them for taking that fight because that's a fight the world wants to see. Canelo didn't have to do that either, but he did because he knows that's what the world wants to see. So I applaud both of them for that.
No doubt. Indeed. All right. And that's our show for today. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Peace and love. Stay safe. Out of here.